Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Hyperactive Conservative. I'm John Gale. It's a Wednesday afternoon edition, our first late afternoon edition, 3 o'clock. Just trying something a little new, a little different to make things a little more sharp and exciting. We've got some exciting and some crazy Corona news up for you next on the Hyperactive Conservative. Funny memes, we like to call them, and they are indeed funny. That is for certain. Let's take a look at our very first one today. Let's stay inside until people never die again. And that seems to be a lot of the Democrats' liberal talking points right now. Sorry, my jacket is one of those windbreaker kind of things. I'll try not to be so squeaky. Good afternoon, Anita Dakin. Thank you for joining in. Anita, our long-term loyal and faithful viewer. Let's invite some folks. What do you say? Let's hit our invite button and let's invite my sisters and Shelly. Let's invite Lori and Angie. And who else can we invite today? Oh, I feel like I'm on Romper Room. There's Anita and Terry, and I see Glenn and Brandon and Dina. Who else is out there today? Remember Romper Room? I loved Romper Room. It was one of those kind of Uncle Al, if you're from the Cincinnati area, Uncle Al and Captain Wendy, Captain Kangaroo, all those great kids' morning shows that used to be on TV. Back in the day when life was a little more simple and we didn't do everything with our thumbs. You remember those days? I'm on a roll today. Here's another meme. Let's take a look at this one. Let me get rid of my my Hyperactive Conservative logo, and let's take a look at our next meme. In 1969, the Hong Kong virus, H3N2, killed over 1 million people worldwide and over 100,000 Americans. Instead of shutting everything down, though, and ruining people's lives, they held Woodstock in Pennsylvania. Now, Woodstock would be banned. They'd rope everyone apart. You could join the concert in your cars, and they would, hold it at drive-in theaters. Isn't that, seriously, in comparison, 100,000 Americans dead in 1969 because of H3N2, the year that Woodstock was held. Interesting. This meme, not funny at all, but very serious indeed. Let's make it big so you can see it. This is the press immediately after the President of the United States briefing. Jeff Mason from Reuters removed his mask as soon as he thought the cameras were off, and every one of them started to huddle together like this picture, right after squawking to the world about the need for social distancing. The press is ridiculous. Bunch of liars. You see them when they do the report, they're all seated millions of feet apart in those little chairs with their masks on, asking their questions appropriately. And then after it's done, this is what they do. Meanwhile, waiting their turn at Home Depot. Tell me again why we can't vote at the polls. Why is that? Oh, yeah. It's not safe. We're going to have to do it via the mail. Really? Oh, I got the hiccups. This is going to be an interesting afternoon. Hope they don't get worse. First a scratchy throat, and now the hiccups. Another sad figure here. If you got your phone, you probably can't read it very well. Let me just read it to you. It's all heartbreaking, not just some of these lives, but all of them. On the top, you see the top of the iceberg that's seen by the eye, a common picture that's shown. Corona deaths up at the top. But that iceberg goes well below the surface that you can't see. Unemployment, heart failure, famine, suicides, death of children, death by disease, addiction, and violence. I'm dropping frames like there's no tomorrow. I'm not sure what's going on. If I'm freezing up on Facebook, Anita, please let me know so I can maybe fix things. If it looks okay, I'm good to go. And let's see, what else do I have today? I showed this yesterday, but I'm going to show it again anyway. Facebook has an ad out that you can buy these real-time elevated body temperature cameras. Like surveillance cameras for your home or for your business to protect you from theft and people breaking in. Now they'll show the body temperature of your thieves. And that's it for the crazy Corona news. It's time to get right into the breaking news on today's edition of the Hyperactive Conservative. Let's get right to it. Today, Fox News reported that Pelosi's massive $3 trillion stimulus bill is dead on arrival, according to Senator Mike Braun. He says that Nancy Pelosi's attempt to push the $3 trillion stimulus coronavirus package is completely out of line. It was released by the House Democrats this week. It includes protections for illegal immigrants who work in jobs declared essential, a move that Republicans are blasting at an attempt at amnesty. The mammoth bill includes a section on page 1737, a little small bill, on temporary protections for essential critical infrastructure workers. The section of the bill allows some illegal immigrants who are engaged in essential critical infrastructure, labor, or services in the United States to be placed into a period of deferred action and authorized to work if they can meet certain conditions. Like, here, take some free money. It also grants protections to those employers who hire illegal immigrants, stating that hiring, employment, or continued employment of the defined group of illegal immigrants is not in violation of the Immigration Act. Well, aren't they in violation of the Immigration Act if they're here illegally? I thought that's how it worked. Meanwhile, today, Bloomberg only wishes. They've got a piece right now. What if the president tested positive for the coronavirus? What happens next? They're all worried about it because his valet and close personal secretary and all these people have tested positive for COVID. The news last week that President Trump's valet, Vice President Pence's press secretary, had both contracted the coronavirus sent a scare through the White House. While officials said both leaders subsequently tested negative, the episode raised a worrisome possibility. What happens if Trump or Pence is stricken? Or worse, if both became ill at the same time? We can only wish, the liberals say. The result could be anything from a temporary disruption to a full-blown constitutional crisis with competing claims on the presidency. What's critical, experts say, is that the identity of the commander-in-chief be clear in any situation. At least one scenario could arise where it wouldn't be. If Trump became too ill for vigorous tweeting, there is a process that past presidents have employed to temporarily relinquish power. The Constitution's 25th Amendment allows Trump to hand over control to the vice president and then reclaim it as soon as he declares himself able. George W. Bush did this twice during his presidency while undergoing medical procedures, and Ronald Reagan once did after he was shot. If Trump were sickened or suddenly stricken with having to be sedated for intubation, the 25th Amendment also allows the vice president and cabinet to it allows them to transfer the presidential power. In the grim and statistically unlikely case that one is needed, a roadmap also exists for what would happen if the president and vice president were both to pass away. Oh, a dream of Nancy Pelosi, right? In that event, the line of succession is clear. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi would become president. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. We need some scary music right there. Hey, Jeff Wilson, thanks for tuning in. Pastor Wilson, glad you're here with us today. Meanwhile, wow, this was kind of stunning today. Judges pumped the brakes on dismissing charges against Michael Flynn. That's right. A federal judge is now allowing input from outside groups on the DOJ's decision and how the court should respond. John Roberts reported from Fox News at the White House today. This is an outrageous decision by a judge who's now placed himself into that, awful category of an activist who's willing to set aside rules, set aside ethics, set aside precedent, and just go in a direction because he is politically motivated to do so. Former Utah U.S. Attorney Brett Tolman told Fox and Friends this morning. The DOJ agreed to drop the charges against Flynn last week, but Sullivan has to sign off on it in order for the case to go away. Sullivan's order yesterday shows he is not ready to do this just yet. We'll be watching that very closely. Meanwhile, the FBI and the DHS is accusing the Chinese government of targeting organizations conducting coronavirus research with cyber attacks and warn that such companies should take steps to protect their systems even as they scramble to combat a virus that originated in China. The FBI is investigating and targeting the compromise of U.S. organizations conducting COVID-19 related research by the People's Republic of China. I wonder why they're doing that. They're hacking into the research from America. I thought they're doing great and nobody's dying over there anymore. The public service announcement issued by the FBI and the Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security has said that the People's Republic of China, affiliated cyber actives, and non-traditional collectors of information. The warning comes amidst a escalating standoff between Beijing and Washington over the coronavirus pandemic, which originated in Wuhan, China. U.S. officials are investigating whether the naturally occurring virus came from a wet market, which is disgusting, the animals that they eat, or whether it escaped from a Wuhan lab where sources have said it is being studied. A number of other countries' intelligence agencies reportedly share the U.S. view that China covered up the spread of the virus in the early days of the pandemic, including that it can be spread from person to person and by silencing doctors seeking to raise alarm, doctors who have never been heard from again in China. This from the DOD, possibly some good news ahead. A $138 million contract has been awarded to APjects Systems America for two projects known as Project Jumpstart and Rapid USA. Apparently, the goal of these projects is to have vast numbers of injection devices ready to go once a COVID-19 vaccine becomes available. Today, there are about 328 million people living in the United States, but the press release states that the plan is to produce over 500 million pre-filled syringes in 2021. It's a year from now, guys. Well, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that not even the force of a full global pandemic can keep U.S. fast food sales down for long. After mandatory closures and social distancing orders grounds the restaurant industry to a halt back in March, sales at quick service chains have begun to improve noticeably. Chipotle, which saw its share price reach a record high on Monday, said last month that the comparable restaurant sales fell 35% from a year ago in the final week of March, but that decline improved to the high teens as April progressed. Serving customers is a challenge with dining rooms closed, but fast food concepts can adjust far more easily than sit-down restaurants. Having an existing drive-through infrastructure certainly helps too. McDonald's said last month that about 90% of recent U.S. sales have been via the drive-through. In normal times, it accounts for about 2/3 of the sales. Wow, 2/3 to 90% during the pandemic. This very sad news, which I hope gets changed very quickly as more Americans find out about it. A longtime Memorial Day weekend tradition to honor veterans is now canceled due to the coronavirus pandemic, but there are persisting calls to bring it back. For decades, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and other groups have devoted part of the holiday to placing small American flags on the graves of veterans, of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, as a way to honor our country's war heroes. Yet this year, the Department of Veteran Affairs has prohibited public events at the sites because of COVID-19. I think I might have a photo. I don't have a photo of a Boy Scout. The Boy Scouts and other groups have been barred from carrying out the mass flag placements. On Long Island, New York, where more than 500,000 veterans are buried at 2 national military cemeteries, there are demands for the VA to reconsider and rescind the ban. The ban, rather, not the band. I kind of miss seeing bands. If we can't figure out a way to make sure we are placing flags at the graves of our veterans to honor them, then something is seriously wrong. I don't quite understand why we can't place flags on graves. I mean, I would say we're pretty well socially distanced by 6 feet. 6 feet below and 6 feet side to side. I mean, you send out a few kids to put flags on some graves, people still want to honor their fathers, their grandparents, their mothers and dads. Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone, whose county includes the sprawling Caverton and the Long Island National Cemeteries, which hold more veterans than any other military cemetery in the nation, said there's something seriously wrong when we can't honor our veterans. I would agree. Well, The Price is Right, CBS primetime special, sparked heated reactions from viewers on social media over its decision to donate nearly $100,000 to Planned Parenthood. The long-running game show in television history aired Monday evening with regular host Drew Carey, joined by Emmy award-winning host RuPaul, transvestite, drag queen, whatever you want to call it. The famous drag queen was on hand to help raise money for charity when the show promised to match all the contestants' prize winnings with a donation to Planned Parenthood. Contestants won big during the special, totaling $97,266 in prizes. This meant that the same dollar amount is now going to the organization as a charitable donation. Since when does The Price is Right get into political things like Planned Parenthood? I mean, I was already kind of saddened with the control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered today. Now we want to, well, we won't talk like that. Finally today, restaurants. This is a crazy story. The crowd is getting a little stiff at one Virginia restaurant. The Inn at Little Washington in Washington, Virginia is planning on reopening for dinner service later this month as Virginia begins its phase 1 for non-essential businesses reopening. But some of its initial clientele might seem a little lifeless. I don't know if you can see there in the photo well enough. Those aren't real customers. Those are mannequins. The 3-starred restaurant, where the tasting menu starts at $248 per person. I guess I won't be eating there. They didn't want its coveted tables to go to waste during the mandate, so Chef Patrick O'Connell decided to seat a different crew, mannequins dressed in the finest fashions. I guess that chef, where does a chef get mannequins from anyway, exactly? I'd like to know that. A little spooky. $248 a person to eat at this restaurant? No wonder they got mannequins in the seats. No one wants to go there to eat. No, I'd rather go through my drive-thru that has a 90% increase in sales at McDonald's. And that's going to be it for today's edition of the Hyperactive Conservative. I certainly appreciate, we'll just laugh anytime we have to. I appreciate you watching. Make sure you like, share, and follow. It's a real simple thing to do. Give us a thumbs up and start a watch party. Repeat this video on your own Facebook page. We're trying to get subs, people. Help us out. Until tomorrow, I'm not sure where we're going to start. We tried this 3 p.m. thing. We got a few different people joining today. We'll let you know via social media when we're going to start. tomorrow's edition of the Hyperactive Conservative. You guys be safe. Wash your hands, and we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye-bye.